Welcome back to my trip around the contiguous US. After my failed attempt to go around the US last year, I was back to conquer the challenge. This is the Big Loop 2. When we left off, I had reached the easternmost point, headed south along the coast, and had just left New York City and was returning to my car. Probably the most disappointed I felt getting into a car. After spending a couple days in New York, it kind of felt like a nice end to the trip. However, I'm like about a third of the way through at this point, so...
It's day 15 of the trip. I'm back in the car. I'm gonna miss train.
It was nice not having to drive for a couple of days, but in case I haven't made it clear, this was a little bit soul-crushing. The overcast, the lack of true rest days, and driving through the most populated city in the US all combined for maybe the lowest low yet. Now I can say I've driven through New York City, though.
At some point, we crossed into Jersey. State number 17 of the trip. We're in Jersey. Okay. There's the welcome sign.
Turned down for what? What? It's hard to tell, but this other sign said, if you drive drunk, you're in for summertime sadness. You ever been in a funk, and then someone says something outlandish, and then it just kind of breaks you a little bit?
Just one more lane, bro, I swear. Just one more lane.
I forgot most of my drive through New Jersey, and it's like I'm seeing all of the clips for the first time while writing this script. After the high of New York, I felt like I was in a fugue state driving through Jersey, and might have been when I regretted this trip most. New Jersey is the only state I've been to where I did not step out of the car. I just didn't see any reason. I was just wanting to get moving.
I do believe that we are in Pennsylvania once again, and it's time to go actually spend some time in Pennsylvania and not just blast through. So, we'll cut to that, I guess.
Philadelphia earns a prize I didn't know any city was competing for since it had my favorite billboards. Granted, the competition isn't strong. It's like a middle schooler amount of effort in a kindergarten world. But other than that, driving through Philadelphia felt pretty bleak. Combination of the weather, my mood, and the endless stretch of concrete was weighing me down.
We pass into Delaware at some point. New state.
Now, because I'm insane, I decided that I was going to check out Philly that day. I can make a plan where the amount of driving is possible, but I'm bad at accounting for mental state. The thing that kept me going was repeating to myself, well, I made it this far. So I figured I might as well make that last extra push. But to take a train out of New York, then drive through Jersey, past Philadelphia to a station that was on the edge of the transit line, because my hotel was nearby and it was cheaper, to take another train into Philly I would take out on the same day was probably not the best decision I ever made. But I did it. I went to downtown Philadelphia and I was kinda broken. I wandered around and didn't know what to do once again, but Philly wasn't as good for wandering in my opinion. I saw the line for the Liberty Bell and asked myself, am I really gonna stand in line by myself just to see a cracked bell? No. Yeah, I wandered around, but I was beat and had nobody but myself to blame. It's a good thing nobody else came along this year because I'm pretty sure the breakneck pace would permanently damage any friendship. Yeah, I don't know, man. I needed a separate day for Philadelphia to actually see it. Okay, back to Delaware.
It's probably the most random state border crossing I've done.
Going back through it, this was a downer of a day, but I promise it picks up.
Dude, some devious fucker had this set to 82 when I walked in. Dog.
It's day... Alright, day 16. Yesterday was rough, but today I'm just planning on driving to Virginia. But I do have one thing that I figured I could do before getting stuck in traffic all day, so...
I immediately messed up.
Guess I'm going right.
I went on a 10-minute long detour because I didn't realize which lane I needed to be in. I feel like a lot of people just try to squeeze in at the last second, but nah, I'll just go where the road takes me and I'll figure it out. I had found something that I think really matched the energy of the Big Loop 2. The big cities are nice and all, but they kind of overwhelm me, and I need to find something that matched my vibe. So I found a location that I hoped would mentally reset me. The Paradox Vineyard, I'm kidding. As I continued to drive, the road started to get more and more rural. It felt good to not have to worry about 4 lanes of traffic. I really needed a rural, hilly drive with some curves and inclines, even though kind of small, but whatever. Although at this point it felt like I had pretty much driven all the way to the East Coast just to see cornfields. Eventually the roads got a bit more rural than I was expecting, but I had found what I was looking for. But first...
Wawa food review time. Normally, I'm kind of like hesitant about restaurants that are attached to gas stations. Those are usually like a separate entity, because I've gotten food poisoning from them multiple times. At the start of this trip, I was like, man, I don't want to just go to like the regional chains. But you know, it's like I'm road trip. It's a road tripping day. It feels like road tripping food. For the price and convenience, I'd say it's pretty good. Looks like dehydrated piss. Kind of tastes like it, but carbonated. For the price point, to actually feel satiated for like $8 to $9, kind of crazy. I might be a fan of Wawa now. Normally I'm pretty whatever about regional chains, because like, I don't know, man, it's still a chain. But Wawa, you know what, I give it a thumbs up. Now you're probably wondering why I've driven out here to the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. This is probably the first time in a while that I've been somewhere and then like no one else has been around. Which is pretty nice. You know, that's one reason why. But there is something specific. Oh, what is it? You have no patience. Come on.
It felt so good to touch grass again and then just have like nobody around. I'm being so serious when I say that this is what I needed. Just like a stroll through the woods. This is a vibe I hadn't felt in a while. Maybe not even since the start of the trip. Just me, nature, and larger bugs that I'm used to. Oh, another state line crossed on foot. I'm back in Delaware. Coming up wasn't the original reason I stopped here, but there's a monument to this weird oddity in Delaware's border. You know how it arcs at the top? Well, that arc isn't quite even with its western border. There's this tiny little straight line, and this stone marks where the arc ends. But I still had to get to where I came here for, so deeper into the woods I went. This forest had a completely different vibe than what I was used to. I'm all about the coniferous, so this deciduous was quite the change of pace for me. I feel like if you're still watching, you're a fan of trees, so let me know in the comments what type of tree you prefer. Are you dedicated to deciduous or a coniferous concubine? Surely I can think of a better word than that.
Well, this is the main thing I stopped here to see. It's the tri-point of Maryland, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. It is somehow less impressive than the Arc monument thing, which is just like a random spot in Delaware's border, and this is the tri-point, but yep, it's shorter. It's got letters on it and a slug. I've now been to 2 state tri-points.
Well, now I gotta walk back. I saw this weird tree. Also, this tree where a 6-year-long relationship is documented and their breakup is now preserved in bark. Equally as interesting is this fungus. Now, walking around in the forest was nice, but it was a lot more humid than I'm used to, and I knew that it was only get worse. This plant is a visual representation of what humidity feels like to me. Well, based on the road change, I'd say we've entered Maryland, which is state number 20, I think. That's where I need to turn. I mean, I guess I already entered Maryland when I walked around the tri-point, but now I was in Maryland for real. I will be counting the tri-point as setting foot in Maryland, though. I've also set foot in Maryland in the past. You've heard of Blue Cox, but have you heard of Blue Ball Road? I guess that was the most interesting part of the Maryland drive. So I realized an additional reason as to why I'd want someone to do this with next year. I say that as if I'm gonna attempt this again. I'm not doing this again next year. I need someone to be like, hey man, we gotta eat, you know? I'm like, no, I'm too locked in. I must continue driving. I cannot stop my momentum. Then when I stop my momentum, I crash. And maybe today the reason I have a bit more energy is because I actually ate lunch. Who'd have thunk? Also, just having like a food co-pilot would be nice. Just being able to find a nice spot in advance. I also drove past Baltimore, but it was never part of any plan, so... Fuck you, Baltimore! Chevy Chase 1 mile. Believe we're crossing into Virginia right now. I don't know why I said it like that. We're in Virginia, I think. I think that was the crossing. Oh, yep, there it is. Virginia is for lovers. The DC metro area was my least favorite city to drive through. I feel like if this series reaches a certain amount of people, at least one person is gonna be mad at my driving just because I'm not tailgating or whatever, and it's like, if you hate other drivers so much, just ride the bus. When I went to check in at the place I was originally going to stay at, I went into the lobby and nobody was there, so after waiting for 15 minutes, I just left and found a new place. I also definitely dodged a bullet since there was an influx of reviews since I booked that mentioned bed bugs and poor service. In order to get a new place nearby, I spent a bit more than I wanted. It was probably the most financially concerned I got on the whole trip. Also, the first place didn't even mark me as a no-show. I got an email later asking me to rate my stay. Unrelated, it's a good thing that restaurants near the Pentagon are super busy, right? This day, I'd be visiting DC, one of the only places on the trip I had been before.
So I have many useless cards in my wallet, right? But one of them is an 11-year-old DC Metro card. So we're gonna see if it still works. Who'd have thunk that I'd actually get another use out of this, but it's been in my wallet for 11 years, which I realize is almost half my life.
It had 10 cents on it. I'm doing the train thing again, and my new hotel was right next to the station, so no park and ride or long-ass walk that morning. I was back to being excited to see a city. Having been to DC before offered a small amount of familiarity, even if it was 11 years ago. I went to the National Mall, because what else are you to do in DC? Apparently a lot, and I should have looked into our stuff beforehand. I wandered around near the backside of the Lincoln Memorial. Naturally, it was under construction. I walked across this bridge into Virginia just to get another state crossing by foot, I guess. I don't know why I did half the things I did, man. So cool thing about the National Mall is that pretty much everything along it is free. You just walk up and in stuff, although much of it does require reservations. Not the Lincoln Memorial though, which you can just walk in and see Lincoln on a chair. On one of the inscriptions on the side, there's a typo where they chiseled the wrong letter and had to fill it in, so there's your fun fact of the day. Although I guess a typo has to be typed, so what would it be, like a chiselo then? The steps here offer a nice view of the mall and the Washington Monument. Also, it was balls hot and very humid here, which made me dread the South more and more because I knew it would only get worse. I hate walking through air that clings to my skin. Washington Memorial, the color changes halfway through because they've run out of the original bricks, I guess. It's free as well to go up, but requires reservations, and you know the theme of this part of the trip. I went off the mall to find a convenience store so I didn't die of dehydration. Nearly everyone who wasn't a tourist was wearing a suit. Gee, I wonder why. I think I'd die if I had to wear a suit in this weather. Who'd have thunk that the city with a location based on a compromise wouldn't have the most optimal geography to live in? I need to escape the air, so why not check out the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History? Didn't I visit a natural history museum in the last part? Yes. Have I visited this one before? Yes. But one of AG's comments when we went to the museum in New York was that it felt like it hadn't changed since he was a kid, and I wanted to see if the same was true of the Smithsonian. But it was pretty different from how I remember it, which is a good thing. Tag your friends. The exhibits made better use of the space and felt more dynamic rather than just a glass box zoo. However, there's still some iconic classics like the Rotunda elephant that have remained unchanged. But where I noticed the most change was the dinosaur exhibit because it had a complete overhaul from when I was a kid. Just look at these photos 12-year-old me took compared to now. They also had some cool miniatures, but once again, the displays were way more dynamic, with scenes being created with the remains rather than simple poses. Plus, they've got the Wankel T-Rex on display, which is notable because it's one of the most complete T-Rex skeletons found, and it was found in Montana. Now, I've seen it before because right now it's on loan from Museum of the Rockies, so it's a neat little piece of home to see so far away. Then the animal exhibits are still a little bit of a still life zoo, but I do like how it's not just all in individual glass boxes that are pretty much identical, with like a little bit of a diorama. There's also rocks, no side quests this time, space, night, and phones. I was confused on how phones were in the Natural History Museum, but a lot of it was talking about how the production of phones affects the natural world. Like all the materials that go into a phone, and all the separate everyday objects that phones have replaced. You know how I used to carry a microscope around all the time? It's so bothersome. Speaking of things that belong in the museum, a most interesting man in the world meme. Brought to you by Green and QuickMeme.com. There's an entire exhibit that's just bones, as well as a bug zoo. I like looking at bugs, but I also like keeping some distance between me and them. When I say bugs in this context, I'm referring to members of the phylum Arthropod along with some other invertebrates. I'm aware that most of these are not of the order Hemiptera, also known as the true bugs. I'm simply using common vernacular. If those rocks earlier weren't enough to satisfy you, you can take one home for the low price of $2,125. I was imagining a person lugging an amethyst crystal through the National Mall, but they ship it to you. Speaking of lugging through the National Mall, back to the wet skin. Oh, it's raining now. Cool. Extra wet skin. Guess I'll take shelter in whatever the Hirshhorn Museum is. The Hirshhorn Museum is a modern and contemporary art museum featuring such works of art as Naked Pile. I do think that dismissing nudity in art is puritanical and counterproductive, but sometimes you look at something and think, man, whoever made this really wanted to get their friends nude in a pile. What modern art museum would be complete without a room with disturbing visuals and eerie noises playing the whole time? Pretty cool museum, probably one of the shorter ones to visit, but I'd check it out if you like modern art. Air and Space needed a reservation, so Capitol building time.
I sure do hope no one photoshops me committing nefarious deeds.
Too late. At this point, just started downpouring, and I did not prepare for this much rain, so I went back to my hotel sopping wet. I was the wettest I had ever been without being like fully submerged, and stood on the train the whole way back just drenched and leaking all over the place. In the evening, when the rain cleared, I went out for some very big loop style shenanigans that involved going into a random suburban neighborhood.
Did I really go out of my way just to visit a random suburb of DC because of a weird little map fact it has, even though there's nothing really here? Yes. It was on the same train line. It's a win-win.
This is Falls Church, the smallest county equivalent in the 50 states, with an area of about 2 square miles. Every city in Virginia is what's known as an independent city, which also operates at the same level as county government. I guess there was a church in Falls Church. Take that back, there's 2 Falls churches. Muffler. I'm sure someone is going to suggest something I didn't know about, but there aren't too many guides for things to do in Falls Church, Virginia. Minus the rain, pretty good day.
Alright, day 18. The sun's out. Still pretty muggy though. But tonight has one of the spots I think I'm most excited to stay, so hopefully it lives up to my expectations. But first, I have to escape the DC metro area.
Not a lot to say about the drive out of DC. There was a lot of traffic though. I miss trains. Eventually I reached the beautiful Virginia Beach Metro.
Alright, state number 22, North Carolina. Also a state I've been to before. While I'm in North Carolina, I do want to try a North Carolina style barbecue, but from like how I've heard it described, it doesn't sound good. It's like, yeah, we don't use sauce because it's bad if you have sauce on it. It should only have a little bit of vinegar. I'm like, that sounds kind of unpleasant. I'm not a big fan of just vinegar on food. So before any North Carolinians kill me, I still have to try it, you know? I got my crabs from Dirty Dick's. Ha! Ha! I'm sexually repressed.
I was heading into the Outer Banks, a collection of barrier islands and one of the most touristy places in North Carolina, as it's all beach all the way. I don't know, there might be some marshes or something. I passed by Kitty Hawk, which is where the Wright brothers had their first successful flight, but of course the monument is only open from 9 to 5. When looking at potential places to procure pork, I saw this place which had all 1 or 5-star reviews. I did not go for it. I instead went with the one with the pig wife persona.
We have the most cursed way to eat barbecue. I didn't think North Carolina barbecue had sauce, but it's Eastern style and Western style. I don't know, man. And a unrefrigerated Cheerwine in a can.
I know that Cheerwine is a bottle type soda, but they were sold out of those, and I didn't have the patience to hop between every store.
I've created a big wedge, and I just got meat. I can definitely taste the vinegar, but I thought I would hate it. But it's pretty good. I do like it. I don't know how authentic the Outer Banks are, but it's pretty good.
After driving past tons of touristy type towns, I reached the Cape Hatteras National Seashore, which was way more my speed. The star of this part was quite low, but my mood had been slowly rising while the sun was setting. I crossed some bridges, saw the ocean, just a nice pleasant drive after Virginia, which might have been my least favorite state to drive through. These dunes protruding on either side of the road provide a whole new landscape to observe, and it's crazy to think that just 3 days ago I was regretting this trip, and now, here I was, living life. I want to stop at the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, but it was, say it with me, under construction.
Dude. Dog, look at it.
I still stopped at the beach real quick though. I tried to get a nice shot of the sunset, but I was a bit too late. Still, clouds were quite impressive.
So the place I thought I was staying tonight, I actually booked last year, and it's a good thing I double checked because I almost just got on a ferry that would have stranded me on an island pretty much overnight. So, yeah, good thing I double checked.
The campsite I stayed at was still lovely and right next to the beach.
I feel like I've let a lot of states down, but I feel like I managed to cram a lot of North Carolina things into half a day. Like, I got tier wine at a Harris Teeter, I had some barbecue, and I'm on the Cape Hatteras shoreline. I actually don't know how to pronounce it, but we ballin'. This is the best I've felt since New York, dude. Like,
I then spent too long trying to get the perfect cursed selfie.
shit, dude. Where did I come from?
In the distance, a storm was brewing and I would not be getting any sleep that night. Unfortunate end to an uplifting day. The storm passed, and as expected, I slept terribly. It was so humid. So this is the ferry I almost got on last night. Where's it heading? This is the ferry to Ocracoke Island, and what's cool is that it's free. The ferry runs pretty frequently in the summer, and I was surprised that so many people were going to this small island. I guess it's probably a common day trip. As you can see, you're allowed to get up and wander around the ferry, and it's pretty refreshing. There's a nice sea breeze, the sun's out, the trip is going good right now. After about an hour-long ride, I arrived at Ocracoke Island. The island definitely has a more isolated feel since the only way to reach it is by boat. However, there's two ferry ports, and the other is on the opposite side of the island in the village of Ocracoke, and it's more popular. The plan was to head down there, take that ferry, and continue down the Carolina coast. What's there to see on the island? Horses, of course. Also, lots of beaches. I mean, the island is just one long beach pretty much, and since it doesn't have as much tourist infrastructure built up, the island feels a lot more laid back. I dipped my toes in a little bit because, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? It's weird to see clams move. Here's the village of Ocracoke at the southish end of the island, and the island is one of those places where you rent a golf cart to get around. But here, I realized my biggest mistake yet.
So I'm on Ocracoke Island, which is where I thought I was going to be staying last night, and got on the ferry to this morning, except I didn't realize that the ferry to get out the other way requires reservations in advance. So now I gotta take the free ferry back and go all the way around. Like, I could not find anything about reservations the last time I checked the ferry website, so it turns out that the sentence I remember reading about the ferries, that tickets can be purchased at the ferry terminal, I think was just referring to the passenger ferry. Now I gotta drive all the way around, dude.
So I had progressed a negative distance since I still had to backtrack to where I started, including the hour-long ferry, and undertake an even longer drive than I was planning. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'd still be able to make it to my destination that night, but man, this is gonna be a brutal day of driving. So let's do it all again.
This is gonna be the longest backtrack of the trip, I hope. I mean, there's worse places to backtrack, but still. Oh, dang. This is like the first major mess up I've done. It's sticky out, dude. It's very sticky out.
It's getting sticky, sticky, sticky. Ooh.
There's gonna be a lot of bridges today getting back to the mainland. So at about 3 p.m., I was no longer backtracking and could begin driving new roads. I'd be leaving the coastal scenery behind and be driving through this forest for the rest of the day. At a certain point, if all I do is film bridges because they stand out, then do they really stand out?
I am really, like, at this moment, like, just like, what am I doing? You know, like, I'm in North Carolina. I've been here before. I've been to Fayetteville. A long time ago. Like, maybe there are more people I could have asked to meet up with, but then at the same time, part of me was too nervous to ask because I feel like I'm violating a personal boundary. It's like, I don't know if I know them well enough to ask. And in addition to that, I did put, like, there's a lot of things where it's like, yeah, dude, I just poorly planned this out. It's not that I don't have friends who wouldn't be willing to do this. It's that, like, I can't be like, hello, quit your job for almost 2 months. If there's any reason I'd want this video series to blow up, it's so that I could convince at least one of my friends, hey, quit your job, we're going on a big road trip, I've got you. I'm just gonna pay you to be my friend for a month and sit in a car, or maybe not a car, maybe on a train or a plane. Yeah, but that's not how the world works.
This day was kind of a blur after Ocracoke. I forgot how low I was feeling. Obviously, the things they're saying were wishful thinking, because yeah, most jobs you can't just quit for a month and then come back and act like everything's fine, and good luck just getting a job in the first place. I'm super lucky for having the time and resources to be able to do this in the first place. The trip alone was a privilege, and yet doing it alone felt like an ordeal. I do appreciate the people who have watched and enjoyed and interacted with all my content, since that was how I was able to do this. And if you don't like my content, I don't know why you're still here. You've only been encouraging me by watching this. Of course, the feelings of doubt I had when driving have persisted even as I write this script, and I'm sure as I edit, and right now as I record, and even when it's posted and you're watching. Part of me will feel like this whole thing was a waste of time, money, and effort. So I hope at least one of you is entertained, and if you've been watching this series, thank you. It truly does mean a lot. The tone right now makes it feel like we're nearing the end of a part, but nah, we gotta keep going.
On a lighter note, new state almost here. I can see the Mexican hat. That means we're gonna be entering South Carolina. Hats around the world? Oh my goodness, I love collecting hats. Maybe I do have to stop. Oh, we're in South Carolina, by the way. New state. It's number 23 of the trip.
All I remember after that is the clouds in the distance, since they were nice clouds, and trying to relax a bit and appreciate the small joys. So I'm driving through the dark and I finally arrived in Summerville, South Carolina. The hotel I checked into had this clown clock in the lobby.
It's day 20. You know what that means. At the end of this day, I will be halfway done, at least time-wise. I think distance-wise, well, I added a lot of miles yesterday, so I don't think I'm quite halfway done yet. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I figured I should use the 3 mirrors somehow, because, like, this is a ridiculous setup for, like, a budget motel.
Starting the day off with a little bit of random side roads driving, really getting a feel for South Carolina. I feel like I gotta get a little bit of random side roads in every state.
Palmettos. Oh my god, it's the thing. It's the thing. Get on the interstate, immediate traffic jam. I think the original idea was like, oh, I'd spend like the afternoon in Charleston and go spend the evening in Savannah or whatever. But no, I'm not gonna do that. I decided I'm gonna pick one city and spend more time there rather than kind of half-assing 2 cities. Gonna go wander around Savannah for a little bit and see how long before I want to die of heat stroke.
Exciting scenery on the interstate here, such as dirt piles.
I made an impromptu stop because I felt like I hadn't been doing enough of those at the Savannah National Wildlife Refuge, and it's a wetlands.
There was a loop you could drive around here to see birds, I guess. Those are some majestic cranes in the distance. The forest section was kind of neat, but there's wetlands areas all over the US and honestly don't feel too different from each other. Once you zoom in, the differences between wetlands across the US appear, but at a wide scale, most wetlands feel pretty similar, with the scenery in the background changing, but at a glance, they're wetlands. I did need to get a bit of touching grass in time before getting to Savannah. Really glad I wasn't going the other way here.
Oh, wait. But now we're in Georgia, state number 24? Yeah, I thought that bridge was gonna be the state crossing, but nope, that's just a big-ass bridge.
And now I'm on that bridge. It's time to check out Savannah. I feel like a broken record at this point. Savannah was a cool city to wander through, but once again, I feel like this experience would be improved if I had someone else with me, yada yada yada. I do need to recreate one thing I saw, though.
They not like us.
Well, Savannah was cool, but as you can see, I'm glistening, and that's just out of my skin. Every activity here feels like it's meant to be done with at least one other person. As far as tourist traps go, it feels really like a city. As far as cities go, it feels really like a tourist trap. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's just like the Riverwalk part, because I'm assuming it's like, oh, it'll feel more like a city outside of that, but it's just going to be more, like, it's just going to be standard America, like suburb, hello. Definitely a city I would want to visit with someone, you know, if only that were the case. I mean, I was originally going to meet up with someone here, but, you know, things happen.
Today's hotel has this very long hallway in my room. You might be wondering, what is this? Considering the bathroom, it's definitely not that deep. So why do I have this long hallway? Well, the elevator. The elevator is right there, so I'm sure that won't be annoying at all.
It surprisingly wasn't.
There are some days going into this trip that I knew would be hell, and today is one of those days.
Because today I'm driving across basically the entirety of Florida, so let's get into it.
That's the plot for today. But before I left Georgia, I figured I should try to get some peaches, so I stopped at Georgia Peach World.
Unfortunately, didn't get any peaches because you had to buy at least a basket full, and I'm like, most of those are gonna rot. I just know it, so like that'd be a waste for me to get. But I got a peach slushie, and this is really good. So, when in Rome, I guess.
Rome, Georgia is actually up here, but I digress.
Oh, this, okay. Alright, well, there it goes. The main sign was covered up by the truck, but we're here. State number 25, Florida. I think I've already been driving for over an hour, but we're just getting started. So many times when I'm driving, I'm just like, man, this video is going to be so boring. There's just so much driving. I'm like, no one has to watch all of this. 8 hours will be condensed into like maybe 30 seconds, you know?
Nah, you're gonna have to experience a bit more than that, though. Unless you just get past this part. I don't know why you would, though. You'd miss out on all the, strip malls with pine forest. The first large city I passed through was Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville is interesting because by city proper, it's the most populated city in Florida, but it's far from the most relevant. Despite being the most populated proper, it's the fourth most populous metro. It's also one of the largest cities in the U.S. by area. This is due to the fact that it's something known as a city-county balance, which aren't true consolidated city counties because while all of the land that would traditionally be unincorporated is part of the city, there are still usually other small incorporated places. While Jacksonville is nearly controversial to Duval County, there's a small exception, that being Baldwin, which is in Duval County but not part of Jacksonville. This also means that Jacksonville has very few suburbs, and most of Jacksonville metro is city proper. Also, all this is off the top of my head, as I'm not a factor because I'm going to sorry if that is not interesting to you. However, I feel like most people aren't interested in unusual regions. Now, where was I? Daytona Beach, of course. I could have sworn I was just in Jacksonville. It certainly doesn't feel like I've been driving that long, but I guess it's been another hour. Huh. Hey, do you think I'm allowed to park here? I don't have the best mental map of Florida, so when I pass by towns, I have no idea how far down I am on the peninsula. Like, I know a few and roughly where they are, but I had no idea if I was making good time or not, or my total progress. I was kind of losing my sense of time and distance here. Every city felt pretty much the same. Here's a stretch of forest and some strip malls. It felt like a Groundhog Day of driving. I know that's how a lot of America feels sometimes, but there's pretty much no variations in terrain, and all the cities felt vaguely the same size, and there weren't any unique landmarks, so here's one of the tallest hills in Florida, maybe, and it's probably a landfill.
I think it's really funny that adult stores advertise with billboards, because it's like, yes, I'm driving along and I see, oh, forgot my lube at home. I'm really bored right now. Florida all looks the same.
Watching this footage back, I know I did this drive, but it feels like a fever dream. Like there were fake memories implanted in me. Then it started raining. This was probably the most eventful thing that happened that day. I know it's trite and cliche, but the rain was rapid here. Truly a downpour and then nothing. Rinse and repeat for an hour. Everyone says their state's weather changes so fast, but I gotta give it to Florida for having the quickest weather changes I've seen. At least when it comes to rain. Alright, I've tortured y'all long enough. I'll skip forward who knows how many hours. Tired of force? Cause it's all concrete now, baby. Guess who accidentally took a wrong turn, and then when I tried to correct it, accidentally went into a suburb because I thought the whole Miami area was a grid. Silly me. How could I forget the horrid layouts between the main grids of Florida? It's kind of weird how the Miami area just stops. There isn't like a natural sprawl to the west of this road. There's just nothing, pretty much. On the approach to the Keys, I started to ease up a little since I was almost there. There were some crazy clouds in the distance, and as I descended on the bridge into the Keys, it felt like I could finally relax, being on the home stretch of the day. The Keys themselves feel like the rest of the America, but with more palm trees. Since the Keys are very narrow, it feels like one long stroad with some bridges in between. Weirdly enough, the street layouts felt almost like the plains. The rest of the vibe definitely didn't, just the way the road was laid out. Soon after arriving in the Keys, though, I got a call they were closing the gate to my campsite in half an hour. And Google Maps said it'd take 26 minutes to get there, so it was a race against the clock. If I didn't make it in time, what would my plan end up being? Google Maps overshot for once. They didn't realize I could just take a left turn into the campsite rather than like doing some weird backtracking thing. Plus the state park sent me the gate code, so it was fine. When I got to the campground itself, I was surprised to learn that it was empty, which kind of unnerved me since this was the Florida Keys, and when I booked months ago, every other campsite was booked up. I was the only one here? Also, the sites are a bit of a walk from the parking lot, and they're across this swamp on Golden Orb Trail. Where have I heard that combination of words before? Oh, no. There's also a bunch of something scuttling around on the boardwalk. What had I gotten myself into? Why did I think camping in Florida would be a good idea? So next time on The Big Loop 2.
Oh!
Thanks for watching part 4 of The Big Loop 2. Make sure to like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Plus, subscribing helps make sure you don't miss any more parts. There's gonna be 3 more, so stay tuned for those as they're gonna be pretty beefy. I appreciate everyone who's been watching so far, and of course, as mentioned earlier in the video, just my self-doubt in this series is I'm really starting to catch up, man.